Hello and welcome. This is Best Foot Forward Shoes, the podcast, and this is episode 50. Yes, we have made it all the way to episode 50. Probably about a year and 2 months into the podcast, and we've done 50 episodes, which I feel has been, a fair amount of consistency, a couple breaks, but again, I'm very thankful to everyone who is either watching us on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to us. We've had some amazing guests. We've had repeat guests. We've had new guests. We've had amazing interviews, and the man we have on today, who you probably already know, is one of those amazing guests that I'm going to add to this roster because it's Mr. Prozech. You know him, you love him, international man of mystery, the man with the jokes. If you don't know him on Instagram, obviously Prozech, it's his name everywhere on all social media. If you want to, see some moments on Instagram or, on TikTok where you want to laugh a little bit, or you want to also check out some of his more serious stuff on his stories. Like, he really has a good insight on the sneaker world, and that's why I'm bringing him on today. He's also kind of a part of the whole UK sneaker scene. I really wanted to get his opinion on the UK versus Australia sneaker scene, and we're also going to chat about a really hot button topic that came on today. So thank you so much for coming on, Prozech. How are you going today?
Hey, my man, Harrison, man. Thank you very much for that intro, man. I appreciate it, man. I'm super happy to be here. Very excited. Anytime I get the opportunity to sort of like put a name to the face and actually like speak to people that, especially like yourself, I've been supporting, whether it be through Tripled Up or what I do on Instagram and social media and stuff, man. Absolutely love it, man. And congratulations on 50 episodes, bro. I know how much effort it takes to get there myself,
Sure
man.
does.
So it's an absolutely amazing achievement, man. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a winding road. Probably, I think I held off from starting a podcast, even though I wanted to, for probably 6 months, because I was trying to find someone to do it in person with. And then I just and I live in Brisbane, Australia, which is, I don't know if you know where that is in Australia and in the relevance to the other kind of major cities. But there's not a huge sneaker culture here, and it's kind of hard to do, especially, when you have a full-time job, you work other things, you have other activities. Trying to get together to do it with someone in person was proving to be hard, so I decided to just kind of wing it, get some people on, through the power of the internet, I'm able to connect to you. You're all the way over there in the UK. As you can see, you've got a hoodie on.
Absolutely.
It was 37 degrees today here in Australia, so I am.
Yeah, it's definitely not that over here, bro.
I'm dying. I don't want summer to come. It's only October, and it feels like it's the middle of summer right now. So, not enjoying that. But yeah, how you been doing? How's your life been over the last couple of weeks? I know you went to the Black Business in the UK. You were a guest speaker there. Did you want to speak to a little bit about that? How you been doing?
Yeah, do you know what? God is good, bro. We're here, we're alive, man. Maintaining like you mentioned, man. Great opportunity for me to head over to the UK Black Business. UK Black Business, for those that don't know, is like it's like a really big, really like glitz and glamour type event that they hold over a week, where various businesses like eBay, JP Morgan, Moody's, all of these sort of big institutions support, and people come together and essentially try to empower and encourage and educate Black entrepreneurs, and obviously that happens in the UK. I had the opportunity through my friends over at eBay to speak on their stage this year. Always wanted to get to the show, just because of work and life, just never had the opportunity, and it just so happens that this year was able to do that. I did put out a little obviously with the podcast that I do, Chronicles, I dropped a little bit of a behind the scenes thing today for anyone that's interested, so feel free to go jump on that. Available everywhere you get podcasts and YouTube and what have you. But yeah, man, along with that, just family's good, life is good, working hard, you get me, man. Trying to stay up to date with all the movements that happen in the culture, as you can imagine, which is just fast moving. And happy to be here once again, bro.
And again, if you do want to see any of those links, whether it be Kicks Chronicles, whether it be the other podcasts you do with Scott, with Erkin, the Tripled Up podcast, obviously Instagram, TikTok, all of those places, you can see them in the description of this video or wherever you're listening on audio. And man, you haven't been hacked lately? I did want to chat to you about that. Anyone didn't know, Prozech sent me a message about 2 months ago it was. Hey, buy this Bitcoin thing, and he's probably a lot of people, and yeah, it turned out he'd been hacked, and
Yeah. Terrible settings, man. Terrible settings, man. They got me.
yeah,
Prozac got. You get me?
yeah,
But and I won't go into too much detail because I know you've got loads of stuff you wanted to talk about. But it happened on a Sunday morning.
yeah.
And it was confirmed while I was on stage in church. I'm in a choir, and my keyboardist, he like just before the service was about to start, he leans over to me and he was like, "Bro, when did you start selling Bitcoin?"
Oh no!
And that's how I knew. I found out I got hacked on the altar of the Lord.
Yeah,
you get me. So, but by God's grace, we managed to get it back after a couple of weeks, man. Shout out to everyone that helped me and all the support that people gave me during that period, man. Because it was a tough time. You get me. It actually made me sort of refocus and sort of look at things a little bit differently in terms of like social media and sort of like, just like priorities and life and family and stuff like, because I was going pretty hard and heavy up until that point, and it's helped me to sort of get a little bit of context and balance, which has actually been a benefit. So everything happens for a reason, as they say. So man, we're good, man.
I know what you mean. Yeah, social media can be a bit of an ebb and flow. Like you can go really hard sometimes, and then you can drop down a little bit with a little bit of the pace. And I suppose it's okay to ride those natural waves, not just in social media, but in life. And like you said, you were on stage. Some of the, says I also go to church as well, and I'm like the drummer or like the band leader, so to speak, in our band. And man, sometimes there's been like sporting games on when we're at church, say in the evening time, and I'm like checking the scores, and I'm like, it's sometimes when something's happening, like you said, you're getting notifications about Bitcoin, and I'm on stage, I'm trying to focus, but it's so hard to. Sometimes.
Oh my God. Yeah, God knows our heart, man. God, please just bear with us, man. We're still human beings. Nah, man. Sometimes it's tough, man. With the sports as well, especially with the football. Sometimes that's mad. But nah, thank God I've got the. You know what? Sometimes those D&D. But on the D&D, sometimes that one helps a lot. That day I was on a bit of a mad one because I knew something was going on from earlier in the day, and I was just hoping it didn't get to that stage. So I didn't have my D&D on. But it is what it is, man. It is.
And speaking of sports,
we're back now.
Speaking of sports, we do have a little bit of sports chat here. I am a sports fan of baseball, NFL, Australian sports, and such. And you're also a huge Tottenham fan. I'm I would say a very mild, casual Chelsea fan.
Okay.
So I know
each other soon.
I know what's going on. I know kind of where we are on the table. I know some a fair amount of the players, but I'm not like a hardcore like yourself or like Erkin, Arsenal. Like there's a lot of other sports that I pay attention to, but like I do follow the EPL, and Tottenham, when they had Ange Postecoglou, I was all about them. But now that they fired him, how's your, I suppose, season going? 10 games in now?
Yeah. It's actually not too bad. I think we're about third in the table. We had a game yesterday against Everton. Everton, who it was Everton away, were unbeaten in their new stadium, managed to win 3-0, which was, I think, on the run of play, fair. In to an aspect, but I think Everton were probably better than 3-0 on the day. But in general, it's going quite well. Unfortunately, we had to let a Big Ange go. He was box office without a shadow of a doubt, and he's only gone and got another job and lost it in the meantime. And Nottingham Forest, man. So he is a legend, and I will tell you this as a little prediction, right? That last season that Ange had, actually his whole time at Tottenham, that's going to be a film. They're definitely going to do a film on Ange Postecoglou, because this whole thing about the second season, and like, it's true. He did it. He legitimately did it. And he did it on a very big stage. And I mean, obviously it's not the Champions League, it's not the World Cup, we're not getting above our station here, but it's something that not a lot of other clubs have been able to do.
Well, you guys are the champions of Europe, but we were the champions of the world. So,
That's fair.
That's fair.
You won the Donald Trump trophy.
We did win that. Yeah. Right. Doesn't that seem like a long, long time ago now? So much
Yeah,
has
no, it
happened in the
does seem a while.
last few months. So yeah, we're going to chat a little bit. Obviously, kind of spoiler alert, we're going to chat a little bit about what happened today at the Complex Con over in Las Vegas. Myself getting a ton of FOMO, really wishing I was kind of there, a part of that, because man,
Not
so many
just you,
people
bro.
posting it. One day I'll get over to the US, perhaps in a timely fashion. But hey, there's other things to worry about at home. But there was a top 10 kind of unofficial, official sneaker of the year kind of list, and we'll have a chat about that. We have some thoughts and opinions and feelings. But first of all, with these kind of interview podcasts, I did want to ask you kind of where it started, because I'm always interested into, I suppose, how someone got into sneakers. It's such a kind of niche, and with the amount of knowledge that you have, it must have a deep history. So where did it kind of, I suppose, start for you?
Yeah, man. I think for me, and this sort of arcs back to the podcast. Like I call my podcast Kids Chronicles because it sort of started when I was a kid, and I sort of talk about sort of the different stages of my life and how sort of sneakers or kicks or whatever you call them, sort of how they've intersected with some of the things that have happened in my life. But going right back to the beginning, like I grew up in Southeast London. Southeast London, I'll say Bermondsey, Rotherhithe to be exact. That's like sort of like Cockney type
Mm.
area. You get me? Like, not a lot of people like me, for want of a better term there. But like, I had a great childhood. My mom is she's from Ghana. She came over a number of years earlier, and I'm the last of four. So by the time she got to me, like the the bank account weren't definitely stretching to those special kicks, you get me? Like, so pro weren't getting kicks on
Yeah.
a regular basis. So
Mm-hmm.
you got what you got, right? And you appreciated it. And I think that that want and that aspiration from an early age was sort of built in me through not having access
Mm.
and not having the funds to get those shoes. So you go to school, you get bantered because you've got the terrible shoes on from the market or from the bargain bin, you get me, man?
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like you go through that process and it teaches you about humility and how to sort of look beyond what people have on the outside to look on the inside. But then it also gives you, and this is hopefully a positive, it gives you that sort of desire to want more, to do more, to grow and become successful, so that one day you'll be in a position where maybe you'll have like a few shoes,
Mm. Mm.
some shoes that you really like. And I think I just took it that extra step further, and I wanted to understand sort of how things were designed and how things were made and the materials, and
Mm.
just trying to understand more and more about the culture and the people behind it. Because ultimately, yes, we talk about shoes, we love shoes, but it's about the people, it's about the designers, it's about the contributors, the commentators, it's about the culture, it's about the people at the end of the day. So that's really what it was, starting with the sort of Reebok Classic, the kind of
Mm.
shoe that sort of kicked everything off for us in the southeast of London. Like, that was the daddy. That's the one that ruled the streets. Yeah, like, it was not Nike, it was not Adidas, and sure they were around, but it was the Reebok Classic, and I'm talking classic leather,
Mm-hmm.
club C's and workouts. And I'm so happy that Reebok recently did a collaboration with PlayStation
Mm.
for their 30th anniversary and brought back the Workout Plus, man, because the Workout Plus in that beautiful grey suede as well is just perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a shoe that I absolutely love. But growing up, like, and getting into sort of music and TV and entertainment, man, you start hearing more and more about, you start seeing, especially the American influence,
Yeah.
you start seeing more and more about sort of like Jordans and Nikes and stuff like that. And yeah, Jordan 11 became a really sort of a big shining light for me in my sort of like late teens. I started thinking, you know what, this is becoming a bit of a thing. These Jordans, I know initially you're looking at them, they're really bulky,
Mm.
but then because they don't really work with the sort of European UK style, we didn't have like baggy jeans when I was growing up. It wasn't a thing. If your jeans were baggy, it meant that you lost weight, and in my case that never happened. So
Yeah.
so we didn't really look at those shoes as objects of desire. But when you get to a certain age, and obviously, as I said, I started delving deeper into how things were and how things worked, and started sort of, you're watching the music videos and you're seeing some of the biggest hip hop artists and stars, and you're seeing what they rock about, what they talk about, what they're rocking on feet, what they're rapping about, and more often than not, they're rapping about Jordans. They're rapping about taking flight and all of these different sort of like things that refer to Jordan. You start understanding about the story. I love basketball as well. I didn't grow up as sort of a Chicago Bulls fan. I was more of a at least when I was growing up, I was sort of more of a generalist, but as I've got older, I've sort of veered towards I love the idea of the Splash Brothers, so I've sort of veered more towards the Golden State. But in terms of kicks, man, you had the Pennies and you had the Charles Barkleys and you had the Converse, Larry Johnson had the Converses, and you had the Jordans, man, and it was like there was so much. And yeah, man, so it started with the Jordan 11, then moved over to the Jordan 4, Jordan 3s, and then the Jordan 1s, man. And then I would say, like, at the height of my sort of like love of kicks, I managed to, a couple of years ago, you remember the Lost and Founds came out, and it quickly became clear to me that the best ever colorway created in the history of colorways is the Chicago colorway. When I sort of got to that point, and I said, you know what, by hook or by crook, I'm gonna grab that shoe, and you can see it over my shoulder in a case right now. It's pride of place, and yeah, man. And since then, you know, things have moved on and focused a lot more on comfort. Yeezy and Adidas definitely played a massive role in my love for kicks as well, because I'm the reigning, I don't know if you know this, Harrison, I'm the reigning comfort king. I don't know if that's a worldwide title. It might just be the UK, but that's cool.
Yeah. You can have it.
Yeezy. Yeah, thank you. No one's fighting me for it. But yeah, the Yeezy 350, the Yeezy 350 V2, the Ultra Boost as well from Adidas. The first and second version were impeccable. Yeah, man, I just love comfort technology, and I think Adidas had a real, especially in sort of like the late 2010s, they definitely had like a real when I say late 2010s, I'm talking like 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, they had a really sort of like stronghold on that. I remember the NMDs as well. They did their thing. So yeah, it basically what I'm saying is I've loved kicks for a very long time, and I've sort of like dabbled in various different things. But right now we get to the point where I'm actually having the opportunity to actually speak to people like yourself, produce a podcast and produce content in line with that, and it just gives me immense joy and satisfaction to be able to do that, man.
Yeah, and you're going to, you know, events, speaking about your love. You've also, I didn't brief you on this, but recently watched the Sneaker Wars episode. The TV series, crazy. If anyone doesn't know, on Disney Plus, talking about Adidas and Puma. And look who, lo and behold, just pops up, Mr. Prozech, along with Kish Cash, and obviously David Beckham and Colm Delane from Kids Super. You know, all of those guys. And Prozech, you know, I think you had like five talking head spots. I think it was about 5.
Come on now.
And
bro,
and you
considering
and it was it was fairly, you were fairly Yeezy focused, I suppose. But give us a bit of a, I suppose, rundown behind the scenes, perhaps how you kind of got into that and what was the experience like.
Well, 100%. Thank you for bringing that up, man. That was 100% linked to Kicks Chronicles. That was just because there was a period in time, and obviously, you know, news and activity within sneakers sort of like is fairly sort of like one way and then another way. It's all fast moving, but there was a period in time where the Yeezy conversation was happening a lot. And I'm a massive fan, as I sort of alluded to earlier, I'm a massive fan of the Yeezy, what Kanye in general was able to do, and also the doors he was able to open. And I'm also the type of person that, like, I remember his catalog. I remember what he was able to do. I remember the people that he was able to put on. And then obviously when he makes mistakes and I say mistakes in quotes because they were significant, and I don't condone anything that he did in terms of what he said. But also as a human being, I do believe in rehabilitation and forgiveness, and understand that people make mistakes regularly. I personally do on a regular basis, and that's like one of the reasons why I look at things a little bit more in a pragmatic way, and I don't sort of throw a person away based on one mistake. And and I've got that right because I'm a human being. It's
Mm.
my opinion. I can choose uh, to feel that way. And I look at history and I look at some of the things, even talking about, I mean, the documentary, uh, Adolf Dassler
Mm.
and Rudy Dassler were both part of the Nazi party. It's
Mm.
just, it is what it is. They weren't active members, they were conscripted, they had no choice. So it's clear that they weren't racist, but
Mm.
they had to contribute to the Nazi movement. But that's just part of history.
Yeah.
That is what it is. You can't write off a whole company or write off a whole person based on that activity. You've got to look into the detail and get some context. So yes, yeah, he made some mistakes, and I think for a period of time, every guest I was talking to, we were just having a lot of
Mm.
conversations about it, and I think that's how they found me. And then they reached out. I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a massive wind up.
Yeah.
But we ended up sort of figuring everything out. I came down to shoot in this amazing sort of like unassuming house in Streatham. Just looked like a regular house, but it was like on 5 floors with a pool on the floor, pool in the basement, and a 70s room, which Kish Cash
Wow.
actually did his interviews in, right
Yeah.
behind Kish Cash. Well, you won't be able to see it on camera, but there is a glitter ball in that room, just so you know. But it
Wow.
was just it was just an amazing
Yeah.
opportunity and something I did not have on my bingo card.
Mm.
And it was meant to come out last year and ended up getting delayed because of what was going on with I believe what was going on with Bjorn Golden moving over from being the CEO of Puma to becoming
Yeah.
CEO of Adidas. I
Spoilers.
Mate,
I'm
if
kidding.
if you're spoiled at this point, you don't have the internet. It's been there for ages.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's fair. No, it's a fair point.
I'm
But yeah,
kidding.
I think that's the reason why it was delayed. And now obviously you've
Mm.
got like a full story
Yeah.
in terms of the two brands.
Mm.
You get me? And yeah,
Yeah.
even more spoilers. They are considering doing some kind of collaboration or coming together at some point. I don't know whether that's
Yeah.
for the benefit of marketing the documentary
Mm.
or if it's true,
Yeah.
but yeah, those rumors have definitely been out there.
Yeah, it's very it was very kind of enlightening. First of all, from a just purely historical perspective, going all the way back to how the companies were actually started, and always interested in that. And someone who I like watching like the Nike documentaries,
Mhm.
whether it be the kind of fictional ones or the non-fictional ones, like the Air documentary that kind of touched on the making of Nike, but it was more about how they got Michael Jordan and such. But I was always excited about the non-fictional documentaries, which this one obviously purely was, and hearing real life people, but also I kind of like the little touches they had with like just completely nonces. I'm going to
Yeah,
call them
that was
like the people
that was
who
fantastic.
no idea, and I'm like. It kind of enlightens you a little bit that we do live in a bit of a bubble sometimes,
Absolutely,
and that
absolutely.
we live in an echo chamber in some occasions, and that people who love sneakers to that level are not really like the normal kind of person. And yeah, it's like it's cool to see that there's other things, and that there's cultural impact beyond just the little bubble that we live in. Loved hearing from Usain Bolt as well, David Beckham,
That
all of
was cool.
those. So if anyone hasn't seen it, it's 3 episodes, about 50 minutes each, I think. So if you want
Yeah.
to check those ones out, really awesome. And of course you get to see Prozech in there. So man, that was really cool. And did that kind of spark any sort of reinvigoration for you? Like, another question I do like to ask as well is, do you ever feel like any creative burnout? Did that kind of push your love for sneakers and the culture forward a bit more?
Oh, my love and passion for kicks is sort of quite consistent. And but I think the thing about sort of I'm a little bit older in terms of like I'm not sort of a young whippersnapper. I'm not a teenager,
Mm.
sort of like pushed and prodded by TikTok and Facebook or well, not Facebook, TikTok and then Instagram.
You're not that old.
You
You
get
don't
me,
have.
like on Snapchat and what have you. So like I'm fairly balanced. I'm pretty relaxed and I'm
Yeah.
pretty even killed when it comes to kicks. I don't get dragged left and right. But what I would say in terms of like it definitely gave me some encouragement in terms of my pursuits regarding social media and trying to sort of like trying to utilize my platform as best I can. That was really encouraging. Absolutely. But my love for kicks and my love for sneakers and the culture remains fairly consistent. Like anyone else, I mean, if you look at something like this year as an example, I mean, we've been tossed to and fro in terms of the amount of shoes that have actually been put out and delivered to the public. It's been monumental in terms of the rate of shoes that are coming out on such a regular basis, and we're talking everything from sort of your bog standard regular GRs all the way up to some of the most unbelievable, almost unattainable grails. Like I've got one to hand, something I never thought I'd have in my possession is an undefeated Air Jordan 4, the first ever Jordan collaboration. Never ever expected this to be a reality, that I could hold this shoe in my hand. And it's now a thing, right? So 2025 has been an amazing year in that regard. And yeah, I think my love for shoes has been invigorated just by the general opportunity to speak to people, to interact with people through social media, giving people sort of a little bit of support in terms of like making things not so heavy, making things not so stressful. You know, I take the mick out of myself a lot because I don't get everything. So I take a mick out of myself in terms of all the things I'm taking L's on. People think I get a lot of stuff. No, I'm taking L's on everything. So I'm trying my best, man. So I try to make it as light and as cool as possible so that other people find it relatable, and because I know a lot of people are not getting everything that they want as well, man.
Yeah, it's like if you're not, I suppose, one of the top kind of 1% and getting gifted lots of shoes, it's just feasibly not able to afford all the shoes. Like it's just, you just can't, especially now, like with the prices, some of the prices of these shoes, my gosh, like I was just kind of mulling over, and I asked the question on Instagram, like, why do you think that the Action Bronson 992 was not selling out immediately, kind of like his previous pairs? Even the 990 V6 earlier this year was instantly gone. And one of the majority of the answers to the question on Instagram was just they're expensive. Like they're just
super expensive.
They're just too expensive. Like but I mean, expensive. You do get the premium materials and the made in USA quality and such. But like when there's been last week there's pop-ups of the one I've been loving recently, this just popped up, like real,
wow.
That one just popped. Like that one just popped in Australia, like for the first time. Like we just finally had a release, and I was like, I can't not try and get that. Like, and I was lucky enough to win. But then that's kind of, I suppose, the budget for the month gone, in that terms. And I was like, well, I didn't even plan for that. And then there's been shoes, and then there's been shoes like the Travis Scott fragment ones, which I was like, at the start of the year, I was like, I'm going to get those for sure. So you think about that one, you're like, all right, cool, can't get this because that one's coming, and it hasn't come yet. So there's it's kind of a moving around game, and I think that people who think that you get everything, it's not quite the case. But let's talk a little bit about your content, which you kind of touched on a little bit there, but you're talking about being on the lighter side. What kind of draws you to being that lighter, personality? Is that just your natural thing, or are you trying to provide a different side to the sneaker community?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of both. I think ultimately I've been doing sort of social media for a while, and what I wanted, along with sort of like the podcast and sort of being able to commentate on the culture and what's happening, I wanted something that sort of was a little bit more reflective of my personality in terms of like just a little bit lighter, a little bit funnier, or at least trying to be, right? I wanted it to be relatable. That was the key thing. I wanted it to be relatable. I wanted people to see themselves in the scenarios that I painted and saw and created and find some joy and some levity, the ability to sort of take themselves out of it. And it's like, because like you kind of alluded to it like earlier, we are nerds, we are fanatics, we are obsessed,
Yeah.
Like for better or worse, we love this thing that we do, right?
Mm.
And sometimes we like you said, we were in a bubble and we start thinking to ourselves that these are the most important things in the world, and they are not. They
Mm.
are there are an infinite amount of more important things than sneakers,
Mm.
right? I just want to put that out there as much as I love them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think so there's the opportunity to poke fun at sort of like the general nature of a sneakerhead, us
Mm.
wanting everything and not being able to get it, but then also sometimes sort of having some nice stuff
Yeah.
and maybe like one of the videos that sort of helped me sort of gaining popularity was like the one where my missus sends me out to go and get one random ingredient or an animal
Mm.
object from the store,
Yeah.
and then I come back with what she asked for or somewhat near what she asked for, and a very expensive pair of shoes. And that's the one that a lot of people resonated with, like whether it be that they've done similar or whether they wanted to do similar,
Mm.
like it just seemed to be the one that sort of caused a lot of people to find relatable. And I really enjoyed like creating those types of videos that give people a little bit of a laugh, make people happy, and also showcase what I love, which is shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely admire kind of the comedic brain because I don't quite have that thought process. I'm someone who tries to be very polished, sort of slick with,
Very slick. No,
professional.
you are. Yeah, Harrison, you're clean, bro. You're clean. Your
I'm,
things like my stuff is rough and ready and a bit raggy and not 100%
yeah.
HD. Your thing is very slick, and I love it, man. I think there's space for everyone.
Exactly. I'm trying to paint a picture where it's you can have multiple people on your Instagram feed. Like there's a lot of space for everyone. I think that's one thing in social media that a lot of people they don't sometimes want to help someone up because they think that they're going to take their place. When kind of I think in reality you can both coexist side by side because there's so many
Absolutely.
people on the internet that can I probably watch tons of YouTubers and have lots of people on Instagram that I enjoy following and they do pretty similar things but it's
Yeah.
their personality like you kind of said you wanted to showcase your personality. I think if you're just showcasing your personality then it's super natural and people can tell like
Mm.
not trying to be I'm not going to try and fake it and trying to be a comedian because I'm not that funny. So
For real, you're gonna only go so far.
yeah, yeah,
Go so far.
yeah,
I think the safest thing. I think one thing I learned when I was younger is if you tell the truth, you never have to have a good memory.
mm.
Like, just be you, man.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
you, man. Just be you.
yeah.
One person that I would definitely say that inspired me, and it's kind of from a similar area to yourself, is closer to the sort of New Zealand side, was Sneakonomics, man. I managed to get him on the podcast, and he's someone I've been watching for a number of years, and he was a massive influence. And
Okay.
he's literally one of the funniest people I've ever seen on the internet. Like
Yeah,
outside of Kicks, like the guy is just a funny guy, and like he massively inspired me. And
yeah,
obviously, what I do and what he does is like, I mean, nuanced and different, right? But like 100%, I give him 100% a lot of credit because he inspired. I had him on the podcast and I spoke to him and I told him this directly. I was like, "You're massively inspirational to me." Like, and this is before I started making those types of videos.
mm.
Um, and I said to him like, "These are the types of videos that I would like to make, but I've just never been able to sort of get there." And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
just said, "Be you, man." He just said, "Be you." Like, just you having conversations with people is funny,
mm.
right? You just find an avenue, find a lane, find something that you think resonates with you as like you and is a true reflection of you,
Mm.
because then you don't have to, when you meet people in public, act a different way. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
have to be a different person when I meet someone at a sneaker event because
mm.
I'm me, right? Whether it be in podcasts, whether it be in skits or in videos, I'm me the whole time. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
me,
yeah.
right? And that's the safest and the easiest thing to be, man.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I'm going to take some people behind the scenes, show how the sausage is made. I've been trying to get Jordan Sneakonomics onto the podcast for 6 months now, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less than that, maybe 5 months. But I've been messaging him. He finally kind of replied to me. We kind of tried to set up a date, didn't quite work because it's the time difference. Like right now, it's close to 10
Yeah.
p.m. and you're kind of in your day, and it's hard to kind of align those. Sometimes, like if I'm trying to jump on the weekly waffle with Erkin and Hass. I have to get up at 5 a.m. to chat.
Jeez.
So just to kind of make that sort of stuff work is a bit hard. I've been trying to get him on, and one day we will get him on, because
Absolutely.
I've tried so hard, and I think the Australian New Zealand connection will be a unbeatable combo. Trying to
Yeah,
chat about
massively.
that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So have a lot of similarities, have a lot of kind of ribbing of each other. You know, kind of like the, I suppose, Scottish English kind of similarities
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that sort of
yeah, yeah.
rivalry. So yeah, I think that will happen one day. So everyone who has been messaging me, and it's been a couple, been like, when are you going to get him on? Trying, and we will at some point. So I'm glad
We're
to
gonna
hear.
get him. We're gonna get him, bro. We're gonna get him.
Yeah. And again, if you want to see a bit more of Prozech and his podcast, go and check out Chronicles. Go and check out the Tripled Up podcast. One day, maybe you guys will do video, which I'm trying to get Scott, the guy who runs the podcast, obviously, to kind of do. But as I've
I think
heard,
the issue with that, Harrison, is I don't know if anyone's ever seen Scott, but it's a long day, bro. I'm joking.
yeah. He
No, Scott's,
fills up the camera a bit.
no, he's good. He's good. I'm joking, man. Scott's I think the issue with Scott is he just likes the comfort of being able to edit the podcast very quickly via audio.
Yeah.
Because when you add that visual element to it, it just elongates the process immensely.
Yeah.
You're talking about lighting, you're talking about all of these different factors you have to bring into it. Like whether it's focus, whether it's like HD, or whether it's 4K, and all of these different things. So yeah, sometimes it's not as easy. And plus, when you've got three guys recording very late at night, with children sometimes in the background and various different other issues going on in life, sometimes we just need to remove the noise a little bit and keep it simple. But maybe one day.
On one of
keep twisting his arm.
On one of the latest ones, he left a couple of moments unedited, which I thought was rather funny.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
He definitely did.
He definitely did. Anyway, we'll breeze on past that. And I suppose one of the other things I did want to ask about or chat about was something that happened today, which was the Complex Sneakers panel. Getting a lot of FOMO myself, getting a lot of, with the world being so connected, seeing everyone on Instagram, just seeing all the stuff going on, whether it be sneaker drops, Hidden New York having a pop-up, Saucony, J-Tips, all that, having a pop-up there. I was like, man, I really wish I could be there. Obviously, I'm like 9,000 miles away in Australia, and you're, a fair distance away, but more accessible for you. But man, they released basically their top 10 of the year. And of course, it's going to garner a lot of attention and a lot of discussion. And there was kind of some posts made about it. My biggest gripe as an overall tree, I suppose, was that there was no representation of New Balance or Asics. It was very Jordan heavy and very Nike heavy. And of course, that's Nike and Jordan have had a huge year. Very, very big, and I think that it warrants a lot of spots, but I just would have liked to see something else. Some more couple of shoes that I probably would have kicked off, but hey, that's only one person's opinion. But I wanted to get your opinion about some of the sneakers that were on there. If you don't have them just in front of you, I do have the list kind of sitting right here.
Yeah, no, I've got the list because as soon as it came out, shout out to the broski Erkin, he put it in the group, man. To be fair, we on the Tripled Up podcast, we had a little game. We had a little the episode that's gonna come out tomorrow or Tuesday. Each of us literally is trying to get in the heads of Mr. Joe LaPuma and Matt Welty and Upscale Vandal, and shout out to Brendan Dunn, my bro. And Mr. Fat Joe.
Fat Joe
and Vashti. Like, we tried to get in their heads and try to sort of mimic what we thought was going to be the top 10. So, I mean, do you know what? I think I got 7 out of the 10 I got. And I got 3 in the right position. One was just one out.
Yeah.
So I think I did okay. But there were a number of shoes that I knew based on this list and based on just listening to that podcast, seeing the the posts and stuff that they put out, I knew certain things were not going to be on there. One thing that I knew was not going to be on there, unfortunately, was J Tips. I knew J Tips wasn't going to be, he wasn't going to make the list. It was a good year for J Tips, but just not a standout year. The year he should have been on by right was the Gridazera year. Remember who fronted that first shoe that he put out should have been in the top 5 in my opinion. And it didn't get onto the list until the actual day of the recording, I believe. And that was by popular demand. I knew he wasn't gonna be on there. I knew Armand Meunier wasn't gonna be on the list.
No Kith. No Ronnie Feig.
Yeah, I knew I had a very big inkling that Ronnie wasn't going to be on the list, even though he just recently dropped his Assets collab, which is impeccable. Just like everything he does. Like, but the thing is, people like Kith, and Ronnie, like, are so above these types of things. I don't know what, like, it just feels like he's in the national. I mean, he could care less about a list. He's so far above this. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there were certain things I knew he wasn't going to be on the list, but ones that I knew would be on the list were the bricks and the undefeateds, like I mentioned earlier, with the undefeateds, in a year of almost 20 or 30 different Air Max 95s. Like I'm saying, it's the 30th anniversary year. I knew there was only going to be space for one Air Max 95, and it had to be the Air Max 95, which was the neon. I was really happy that the Black Metallic 5s got on there, because I think that is a people's champion for this year. I think that's the shoe that nobody had on their list. But when it came out, just blew everything away in terms of the quality of the execution of the shoe. Wasn't massively rolled out. It was just a great shoe. Very early in the year as well. But yeah, good. It was just good. Like, but funnily enough, because that shoe's on there, maybe not because it's on there, but then you don't have a bread on there. You don't have a bread Jordan 1.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have a Jordan 4 white cement. Right. Very, very interesting. But you do have an Awake NY Jordan 5, which I think is controversial for me personally, because I think I would definitely take certain shoes over that Awake NY shoe.
Couple of thoughts from what you said with my biggest take with Kith is that it's hard to pinpoint one shoe. Because they release so many shoes, it's hard to pinpoint one, and they don't hand out spots for collections, and that's what kind of they do really well. So it's hard to give them a spot, I suppose, unless there was an absolute standout, which I think there was. I mean, the 992 Osaka, or even the 991 V2, like the whole that was awesome. I mean, I'm kind of a bit more biased towards New Balance. I think that the Joe Freshgoods 992 should have been on there. That's like,
Agewell was fantastic shoe. I knew it wasn't going to be on there. It was so good, but it just wasn't it just wasn't a talking point. It wasn't a thing, right? But no, I completely agree. I think the Agewell was fantastic.
It'll definitely be on my personal list. Like, no spoilers. It'd be in the top 5 for sure. But just for people who don't know, which is the full list was the Shy 1, the Jordan 17 Infinite Archives, the Yachty Air Force 1 Little Yachty, Jordan 5 Metallic Reimagined, the Levi's 95, the Awake 5s. Not sure which colorway. I think they decided on the pink one.
They put the pink one up there.
The Jellyfish Adidas, the OG Neon from the Air Max 95, the Undefeated 4s, and the Nigel 4s. So, you know how there's Oscar bait movies? You know how movies sometimes are made purely to get awards? I feel like a lot of these shoes have a very similar timeline where the start of the year you saw a leaked image or you saw a promo video or a photo, and then you eventually kind of see the rollout, then you see multiple colorways, and they give the public time to marinate in them a little bit more. They're also, a lot of them are reselling for a larger amount. Yeah, so they have all the recipe. They tick all the boxes, so to speak. And like you said, the Joe Freshgoods one didn't quite tick the box for some of those, but there's definitely, I don't know, there's a lot of bias, of course, with everything that they do. They're huge Little Yachty fans. I don't think he deserves to be anywhere near any sneaker list. I'm sorry, even though it's an Air Force One, but I'm sorry, but he does not deserve to be on there over some of those pairs that I spoke about.
I think that's a fair point.
Even the bread ones, the Jordan 1, the breads, like how can you leave that off? Like,
it's been a crazy year for kicks, man. I want to say, like, and I I agree to an extent. I think Complex kind of painted themselves into a corner because obviously last year they actually had his Concrete Boys
Yeah.
Jordan 1, Air Force One on the
Yeah.
list, and that one shouldn't have been on the list,
Yeah.
right? And then he comes up with a collectively a consensus better shoe,
Yeah.
heavily inspired by Bape, and it's kind of like, well, if the bad one, and I'm not saying bad, I'm saying bad in quotes because I think it was a plain shoe, but it was an okay shoe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If the original Concrete Boy shoe was on the list, you kind of have to put this new one on the list just by virtue of it being an infinitely better shoe in terms of design and a reflective of the designer. So when we were discussing it on Tripled Up, like it occurred to, I think Erkin was the first one to mention it, and I was like, I completely spaced out on that shoe, but I thought the shoe was fantastic for the summer and that sort of thing, but there were a lot of other shoes that I could have had over that. As I said, I didn't have it on my list. I think I should have known that the 17 was going to be on there, even though 17 isn't one of those. It's definitely not one of those sort of traditional Jordan numbers that people get hyped about. The amount of chatter, the amount of interview, the amount of attention the shoe is getting from the sneaker community, from the higher ups within the sneaker community, not the regular person on the streets. But just enough influence type people. I should have known that shoe was going to be on there. But and do you know what? And I will take a little bit of credit because I did call the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander 001. I knew that shoe was going to be on the list because I always you start to see some patterns like you were mentioning in regards to the Ossa thing. And one thing that I always notice is Complex always want to have an active basketball sneaker on the list. They always want to have that. They had it last year in the 81, which ended up taking top spot. And I don't think there's been any standout, unbelievable, like basketball sneaker this year, and I think the 001 from Shea and Converse was probably the closest thing to it. 10's fine. 10 spots fine. One thing I did also space on was the Levi's. I think that deserved to be in the list. It was a fantastic drop. I'm glad you managed to get a pair. I got the black ones. And the jellyfish, man, I'm all right with the jellyfish.
I mean,
I called the jellyfish being in the list.
I like the top. Like, it's pretty obvious that the Nigel 4 is going to be the undefeateds, of course. Like, all of those are fine. Like, I'm happy with all of those being in there. The Awake 5s, I'm not a huge 5s guy, so I'm a little bit biased on that. So not really, I could do without them. It's just, I don't know. They're very Complex is in New York. Awake is a New York-based company. It's like a very Yachty is a very like New York kind of centric guy. He's
definitely out there.
It's all kind of insider trading, so to speak. So anyway,
definitely some of that.
So there's a little bit of that going on, but that's kind of why what I would challenge people to do is that, and I've already released a video at this point by the time you're watching this podcast, and you might have already seen the video of me like challenging people to actually just make their own lists. Like, that's kind of the beauty of the sneaker discussion, is that we don't have to take the consensus of one sneaker publication as Bible. It could be your own lists, and if you feel so strongly, make your own podcast, like make your own content and such. And like, that's what we'll kind of be doing here, and a little bit more later on down the track we're going to be doing a top 10 of kind of each major brand. So if you want to subscribe, check out those in the next coming weeks and months. A little bit later as well, I feel like that's one other thing, is this podcast the Complex Con happens at a very early date. I feel like we haven't quite like it's
seen
October, like the third week of October, and you're already crowning a sneaker of the year when it hasn't. Anyway, I'm not going to fully go into it, but it does feel a little bit early.
No, I agree because I mean, this will be the first year in like 4 or 5 years that there's been no Travis on the list, and some might argue that when he drops that fragment, that might end up on would probably end up on a lot of people's top 10s as well. There's also undefeated 95s that are coming out as well. There's potentially another Virgil Abloh / Off-White Sesame Air Force One potentially coming out this year. So there are a number of shoes that are rumored to come out, potentially coming out.
Yeah.
that
So
could easily upset that top 10. I think what they do, and I think they've leaned into the idea of it being an early list because they can always revise it and they can always put it back out on their platform. They can
yeah.
always say, okay, this is the revised list,
Yeah.
taking into
Yeah.
consideration everything, but it won't get the same, like the clicks and the furore is always going to come when they go early and they throw in some madness, which they've done.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Exactly.
I think it's fun. Yeah, they've used it. They've basically they've done that thing where they like sort of create a little bit of hysteria to get a load of eyeballs, and then they'll correct it or correct it in quotes
Yeah.
and put it out a more balanced list a little bit later.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, well, like I said, this is kind of an inspiration, I suppose, to do our own podcast and try and kind of
Agree.
make a more wider ranging list. I feel like trying to pigeonhole 10 shoes in such a great big year is very hard, and so
Oh,
I'd like to give it a little bit more chat to, like, I have someone on who is like a hardcore New Balance head, like even more than myself. Like, he's a hardcore New Balance guy, and we're going to be chatting about all that sort of stuff, Asics, all of that sort of thing. Asics is huge in Australia. I don't know if you know about that. I know we kind of plan to talk a little bit about, I suppose, sneaker differences, but like Asics is massive in Australia compared to the US. I know it's kind of big in the UK, but like, what would be, I suppose, one of the major differences that you see with UK sneaker culture compared to, say, Australia or even the rest of Europe or the US?
I mean, one thing I would say, I think sneaker culture in general versus what's popular is completely different. Like what we talk about and what you see on people's feet, completely different. You know what's popping over here in the UK? You know what people are actually wearing?
New Balance
On cloud.
530s.
They're wearing on clouds.
Yeah.
They're wearing on cloud.
Yeah.
They're wearing on cloud. That sort of Swiss brand based out of Zurich. They're wearing a lot of on clouds. As well, they're wearing a lot of Adidas, and the Adidas campus is getting a lot of play, along with the Sambas and the Specials,
Yeah.
getting a lot of play. But yeah, man, like if you're on the commute or you're in a supermarket, you're seeing a lot of those types of shoes. I don't ever get it twisted. You're gonna see a lot of Dunks as well. Like, because they had their time. You're gonna see a few Air Maxes. Very rarely are you gonna see sort of like a Jordan on the street.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're going to a sneaker convention, like it's, or you're walking around me, you might see me wearing a Jordan. The other reason why you don't see those shoes is because there's been a massive sort of movement over to comfort, and that's the reason why brands like On and Asics, because you do see Asics as well, they're having massive success right now. Even brands like Brooks are they're doing really well because they're even doing a few collabs as well. Like, they're having massive success because their focus is 100% on comfort and their running shoes, and there's this whole thing about running culture in the UK right now, running clubs and what have you. So yeah, that's definitely become a thing. But
yeah,
I think those are the few things that I sort of observe from the UK. I would also say, like, this is something that you're not like at the beginning of the year. One thing I noticed in sneakers was that a lot of brands are starting to dabble in making actual shoes. Nike most recently did the Air Freak Nike Air shoe collaboration, but earlier in the year, New Balance has the loafer that they've been putting out. Hoka had a similar type of loafer, and various different crazy wacky shoes are being created. These are things that you don't see in the streets, but things that you are seeing on timelines, that people are talking about them. So that's another thing that I've noticed is happening quite frequently over here. But yeah, I would say like in terms of what you said in regards to Asics are massively popular over here. The Gel Cayano 14 is a shoe that you will see on a regular basis. You will see that shoe everywhere. On clouds you will see, and yeah, you will see New Balances knocking about, like, because they're all having significant moments. But yeah, in the last couple of years, Adidas was a non-entity. It was a non-starter. Now that's become a major player in the last year or two. And yeah, as I said, On and Asics are definitely doing it. The running brands are definitely
Yeah.
doing well.
And I feel like ASICS has a big presence here in Australia because they collaborate with a lot of Australian artists, or
Oh,
Australian
nice.
brands. Like Up There Store is a collaborator, long-time collaborator with ASICS. They've also recently debuted another shoe with another like small boutique called Finesse, which is pretty cool. So all of those sort of things really help kind of word of mouth or shares and that sort of thing. And ASICS, that model, that look, the aesthetic is kind of catching on to people as not just a performance shoe, but a lifestyle and fashionable shoe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's really cool to understand. And I think that's probably one of the reasons, like you said, that people are sort of enjoying Asics. I know even Asics did a recent collaboration with, I think it was 7 different
Oh,
collaborators
yeah,
in
yeah.
America. I can't remember the names of all of them, but like they're getting heavy into their collaboration bag, which I'm 100% here for. I know they also dropped an exclusive Awaken. No, it wasn't Awaken White. It was Hidden New
Yeah.
York at Complex Con as well,
Yeah.
which is very, very cool. So yeah, man, I love that. I love the fact that Asics are definitely getting some shine because they deserve it because they've been consistent.
Yeah.
And it's not even the collaborations that are driving it;
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
their GRs that's driving it.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic.
Yeah. Yep. Shout out to Kiko Kostadanov, that kind of design laboratory that they have going on with that creator, and yeah, all of that sort of stuff is really pushing a lot of, I suppose, the Australian sneaker scene. As small as it is, it's a very strong one, and ASICS is a huge part of that, man. And I've forgotten what the other thing that you said something that tweaked my memory, and I can't remember what it is. So anyway, it was probably about the Era Freak, which I think you really liked, being having the African influence. I think it was something about that. But
Yeah. That shoe, I'll be honest, yeah. I've got some Congolese uncles that will rock the hell out of that shoe, bro.
yeah, nice.
I
I
know
don't.
some
Yeah,
guys that would definitely spice that shoe right up, man.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good shoe. I can't lie, that's a good shoe.
yeah.
Like I managed to get the off-white pair.
Mm,
I just wanted to get them in hand and feel the comfort levels on the shoe, man. But yeah, no, it's a cold shoe, man. It's a
yeah,
very good shoe.
yeah. Nice. And again, you can hear Prozech talk about all of these new pickups and all that sort of stuff. Good. You had some good chat about an Air Max that I've forgotten the name of it, by Knowles, the Air Max Muse, I think it was
My
called.
God. Muse.
I've put a photo up in post, and yeah, this is a weapon if it was in your size, bro.
Mate, if I saw a guy of my size and stature wearing that shoe, going across the road wouldn't be enough. I
Yeah.
would have to leave the country. The fear that would grip my soul
Oh man.
would be unbelievable. Like, no, I'm not dealing with that in my lifetime, man. Yeah, that's a crazy crap, man.
Yeah.
Crazy crap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
not
wild.
not the good one. Not the good one.
Well,
Yeah.
I held them in person. I held them in hand actually, and they're actually a lot lighter than you think, but they are definitely very hard on the sole, on the front part. Sorry, and also on the sole. So they're definitely stomping kind
Literally
of
and
shoes.
figuratively, they
Yeah.
are hard on the soul.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, for sure, man. Well, again, man, this has been a wild time. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Let the people know what you've got going on. I'm sure if you are watching this and you know who Prozech is, you probably already follow him. But again, Prozech on Instagram, TikTok, let the people know what you got going on.
Yeah, man. So Prozech on Instagram, TikTok, and every other social media platform that's available. Definitely hit me up on YouTube. Kicks Chronicles, sneaker and lifestyle podcast comes out every week on a Monday generally. And Tripled Up podcast with my brothers, Erkin, Life of a Broski for those that know him by that name, and Scott _sneaker teacher.
Yeah.
You get me, man? That's like, so obviously my podcast is a little bit more sort of like reflective of me, and then I usually will have guests. My most recent guest was King of Trainers, Franklin
Yeah.
Boateng. One of my like best friends in the culture, man. He's a legend. You get me, and a mentor to me. But also like you've got sort of the tripled up where we kind of like we'll play games and we'll be a bit more sort of like current affairs and up to date on what's going on in the culture. So you kind of get the best of both worlds with those podcasts. And yeah, man, like you will see me more often than not on your timeline, sort of having a bit of fun and putting a bit of positivity out into the world, man. Feel free to engage, say hello, do all of that stuff, man. I absolutely love it. Repost, reshare, do all of that great stuff, man. But yeah, man, before all of that and like without it has to be said, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe this podcast. Support Harrison, you get me, and what he's doing. Make sure to support him, you get me, and make sure to go and follow and subscribe to what he's got going on, man, because he's a legend, man. And when I say it is slick, it is polished, and I love it. Because when I get to be on podcasts like that for a moment, I can be slick and polished. You get me, man? Look, I can appear at least slick and polished. You get me?
Yeah. No,
Congratulations on everything that you're doing, bro. Like,
Thank you very much. Only bigger and better from here on out, especially as we get towards the, I suppose, holiday months, towards the end of the year. You know, we're wrapping up, being reflective, chatting about this awesome year that we've had. You know, it's another year in the books. We're alive. We're here. God is good, and we are definitely, pushing towards another good year in 2026. I'm saying that we've still got 2 months left in the year again, so still plenty of life to go. But again, those months will fly by. So it's going to be an awesome time. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and we will see you next week. Have a good day.